Well, after a couple of technical issues that were technically my fault, good afternoon, John.
Good afternoon, Ben.
How are you?
All right.
Good. That's what I like to hear. Now, before we get into today's show, John, I want to direct a little bit of a rant, if you will, a little bit of a diatribe, maybe a bit of verbal diarrhea at the people, especially the Emily Oster, I believe her name is, who wrote in The Atlantic that they want a quote-unquote pandemic amnesty. Now...
Oh, what pandemic?
Well, what these people are asking for, and it's being echoed more and more, they're asking for us to forgive and forget. And by that I mean forgive and forget the fact that they called us names, that they attacked us, that they demanded that we be locked in our homes, demanded we have medications, demanded we lose our jobs if we had them, demanded that we be separated from our families, said to us, oh, you're COVID-idiots. Remember that one, John? Remember that one? Yeah. Let's look at the basic reality here. Since the very beginning of everything, I've been telling people that an economic crisis will loom, right? Because of what they did, because of the restrictions, because of people staying home, being paid money that didn't exist to do so. And they called me a killer.
Granny killer.
Yeah. They called me a killer for pointing out the reality situation. They said I should be arrested, many of these people. They said I should be prosecuted. They said I should be... Because I was going out with my camera and showing people the reality of the situation on the ground versus what they were being told, I was evil. Because I told people that I cared about the folks in the old people's home. Because I told people that I cared about the people who were being missed for their cancer appointments. I was actually a murderer. A literal murderer for caring about anyone else. Right?
Yeah.
And now, these people demand we just forget that. Oops, no, sorry guys, we shouldn't have said all that, but because we did, we just want you to forget about it. No, absolutely fucking not. No, I have been attacked, maligned, doxed, threatened, silenced, censored because of these people, and now they just want to go, whoops, sorry. No, absolutely not.
What makes you think that you won't get censored right now?
I'm just telling you how I feel.
Okay.
I'm just telling you, I think these people are disgusting. I think these people, especially if they work in the media, have no place continuing to work in the media. They have shown themselves to be hypocrites, to be liars, to be vile. I'm just telling you how I feel, and how very dare they. We are being dragged into what the Bank of England have called in the last hour the longest recession in recent history. Something else I warned about. Because of all of the economy being closed for 2.5 years. They'll try and say it's because of something else. It's not.
Yes, well, I was called a shill earlier on, wasn't I?
You were.
For merely putting data up.
Yeah.
And the data's not terribly contradictory. It just, it deflates some of what the MSN are saying.
Mm-hmm.
But it completely contradicts other stories that the MSN are saying.
But you know what? This is why me and you don't have sides. This is why me and you are so independent. And we are independent. No fucker except the 5 people that pay us £30 a month on Patreon pay us any money. We don't.
And those that give us much valued donations on Ko-fi.com. We know who you are.
And thank you very much.
Remember, if you want to have a message read out, if you do it during the show, the wee thing will come up and actually read your message out in a computerized voice.
It does, yeah. Just down below me, actually. If you see that thing there, your message pops up out of that, and it reads out if you give us a donation on Ko-fi, ko-fi.com/chasing dissent. But we are able to speak our minds and speak as we feel and say what we want because we aren't beholden to anybody. And I mean, to an extent, we aren't even beholden to our audience because sometimes our audience don't like the things that we say, right?
Our audience certainly don't like me sometimes.
No.
Especially when I rip them a new one.
But, you know...
I haven't done that for a while, though, to be fair.
But, you know, I just...
Because you behaved.
I am...
No, I'm 100% behind you, Ben. It's the whole situation is a mishmash of detritus.
You've lost everything. You should be behind me more than most, right?
Yeah. Well,
You've lost everything because of what they did.
Yeah.
You've lost everything because of the people that were too spineless and too cowardly to simply use their fucking eyes, which is all I said to people.
You know what? You know what I heard today that worries me greatly?
What's that?
There was a group of members talking to each other after their workout, and there was maybe 4 or 5 of them.
Okay.
And I overheard them chatting away to each other. Now, these are women in their, late 50s, early 60s?
Mm-hmm.
And our system is such that you have a card that you present, like a bank card that you present to the machine, and the machine automatically configures itself, right? To your sizes and your weights, and so you don't have to do anything. There's no thought involved.
So you're a smart gym.
Oh yeah, it's pretty impressive. Unfortunately, it costs a fortune. But anyway, they are talking about this, and we offer them a card or a bracelet that they can just tap against the display, and that configures each machine to them specifically. And it works very well. But they were talking about, wouldn't it be great if we could just get a little chip inside her?
Oh my God.
And I'm thinking, oh my fucking God, because then they started talking about, and you could pay for things with it and I'm going, oh Jesus Christ. And these are old people. When I say old, I mean, but these are old people that you think would be against this, but no, everything. See, the human condition seems to be that everybody is taking this drive towards convenience.
Yeah.
And really, we are going to end up like WALL-E, where we're all sitting on big chairs and can't walk because our legs have atrophied away into nothing.
Yeah, no, I'm terrified for the future of our species because it is convenience. And sometimes, I don't mind a bit of convenience myself, especially being in the physical state that I'm in. Like, for example, I've got a stair lift, right? I could probably haul myself painfully up the stairs, but I choose to use my stair lift. Convenience can be good in the right context, but these people, like you say, they want everything given to them, delivered to them, placed in them, and it is absolutely terrifying. And speaking of terrifying, if you're finding us ghoulishly terrifying today, don't forget to stick a like on the video, on the show. We would really, really, really appreciate that. And with that, John, let's get the ranting about the amnesty-loving hypocrites out of the way and introduce the show.
And with that, I'd like to welcome one and all to this episode 155 of Chasing Dissent Live. 155, I say to you.
Well, so here we are once again. It is a Thursday afternoon, and as John said, it is episode 155, and we'll keep making this show as long as the news keeps on coming. John, let's go. Where are we going today?
Well, let's go to America, or rather, let's not.
Well, yeah, let's not, because we've been denied.
Thwarted.
We thought possibly that we would be allowed to enter America from the 8th of November. The Democrats are now obviously convinced they're going to win the midterms because they have extended the fully treated requirement to enter the country until January the 8th, 2023. Me and John were considering attempting to enter the United States next week, and doing the midterm show from there, but looks like that's now completely off the cards. What do you have to say about this, John?
I'm gutted.
I don't get it. I don't understand it. Even Canada has dropped the requirement, and Canada were like the biggest wet wipes on earth.
Even New Zealand and Australia have dropped the requirements.
Yeah.
New Zealand and Australia. I think the only places now are places, weird places like Hong Kong. Right?
Yeah.
China, Japan, strangely enough. It's mostly Far Eastern places now that are hanging on to these last trappings of tyranny. And America. Yeah, America.
It seems to me such counterproductive, because in America we have hundreds, if not thousands, of people probably untreated crossing the southern border every single week, right?
Yeah.
Turn your speakers off, first of all. And second of all, the people that are actually wanting to come in for tourism purposes, that will spend money, that will inflate their economy, they're going, no, you can't come in. But the people flooding across their southern border, who are untreated and will cost the country money, can. It's almost self-flagellating, it's counterproductive, and I don't understand it.
No, I don't understand it either. I think it's crazy. Yeah. So, it's just another disaster for America, and I don't think it helps anyone, because why are they such wetties? I mean, really?
Well, look at our good friend Dino Joachim on the Isle of Wight, right? The man is a literal millionaire. He wanted to book holidays for him and his family to go to America and go and pump money into their economy, and now he can't.
Nope, now he can't.
Now he can't. So they're losing out on but it is their loss, isn't it? Especially when you're hitting an economic recession. If people want to come and pump money into your economy and you're stopping them, you're only hurting yourself, ultimately.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Moving on.
Yes, moving on.
Putin! Yeah.
So Mr. Putin is saying that Russia has said that nuclear powers are on the brink of a direct armed conflict. And this follows on from yesterday when we were discussing American boots on the ground in Ukraine and how long is it going to be before an American gets accidentally killed during some sort of strike on a supply run or whatever.
Not long, I think.
No, I think it's going to be sooner rather than later. And then we're going to see an escalation, and probably initially it would go conventional, but then what happens, So you get really the only two proper nuclear powers in direct confrontation with each other on a battlefield that isn't either of their countries.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So tactical nukes would seem to be the order of the day, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's really quite concerning.
It is quite concerning. And then you still got Russia claiming that Ukraine is still trying to make a dirty bomb. Even if the Americans aren't helping them or whatever, they're still trying to make a dirty bomb. And if Ukraine make a dirty bomb, I have no doubt that they would have no compunction about setting it off in their own soil.
I'm concerned that you're right. I am concerned that you're right. I'm concerned for fucking humanity at the moment. And I need to curb the swearing, I know, but it's so frustrating just knowing everything we know about people in power and how much they don't care about you, that people still support them. It's...
Yeah, And speaking of being supported, see this Defense of Ukraine
Yeah.
Twitter account. I mean, it seems more and more to be a parody. I mean, it's like that's about a £5,000 a 5,000 personnel increase on the last time I looked at this, because I think it was about 69,000 the last time. So if they're killing 5,000 Russians a week, where are all these Russians? Where are they getting? Why are you getting rid of them? What are they doing?
Well, they're either, are they saying they're killing them, or are they saying they're capturing or killing them? They're calling them
killing them. I mean, look at it. It says eliminated personnel.
I honestly don't
dead.
I honestly don't think they've killed 74,000 Russians.
I don't think so either. Maybe in Tank Wars 3, but not in real life. And I mean, they are such trolls. It's getting easier and easier, though. It really is.
It really is, yeah.
You know, it's getting easier and easier to mock them because
once again, we have to ask the question, though. Everybody is a journalist in this day and age. Everybody's got a high definition bloody camera sitting on their phone. Where are these tanks? Where are these armoured personnel carriers? Where are all of these downed helicopters? Where are they? Because we don't see them. I mean, look, 4,162 vehicles and fuel tanks. You would see them. Where are they?
Well, 5,500, personnel carriers. Where the hell are they all?
Exactly. I'm not right. I'm not going to outright say this is untrue. But what I will do is compel myself to appeal to the Ukrainians in this situation. Most of you have bloody camera phones. Let's see it. I want to see all this debris. I want to see it. Show it to me. Because right now, we're not seeing much of anything. And that is, how are we supposed to believe this Twitter account that has put out clips from video games on multiple occasions, trying to pass it off as downing Russian, this, that, and the other? How are we supposed to believe these numbers if we don't see the evidence of it? So that's all I'm asking for. I'm just asking for the evidence.
Indeed. Anyway, so
this is quite interesting, isn't it?
Follow the money. It's like problem solution. Problem solution. Make loads of money, isn't it?
Problem reaction solution. CNBC yesterday. Johnson & Johnson to buy heart pump maker Abiomed in $16.6 billion deal. Johnson & Johnson said on Tuesday it would buy heart pump maker Abiomed in a $16.6 billion bill. That's very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, especially when you consider what everybody appears to be dying from in the NHS just now.
Well, I will say this. We are up until about early 2021, maybe. And I'm not going to ascribe anything to this, by the way. I'm just going to lay out the facts as they are. We have never really heard in a grand public sphere of the terms myocarditis and pericarditis. Now we see actual campaigns from the health service saying this is common and we should normalise it.
But we know what it is now. If we move on to the next slide, apparently it's the NHS disruption that's driving the rise in heart deaths.
Well, that can be partially true. And
whoa, how can it?
Because once again, we'll go back to...
okay, maybe just in deaths, but what's causing the myocarditis and pericarditis in the first place? Because that has increased dramatically.
Okay, so that in itself is the question, and one that I won't be answering here. But when you look at this article here, NHS disruption driving rise in heart death, charity says, we can go back to myself at the beginning of 2020, well, March, April 2020, when I repeatedly said, if you close the health service, this would happen. And guess what? I was called a fucking granny killer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what did people... I mean, this is what gets me. How can people reasonably expect things to keep working as normal if, in the face of disproportionate government restrictions, you close your economy, you shutter your health service, you make everyone stay at home, you close all the facilities for them to keep fit and healthy, you restrict their recreation, So basically, all they've got to do is watch Netflix and drink.
Do you know what, John? This is just the tip of the iceberg. People don't understand, and once again, I've been saying this since the beginning of 2020. Heart deaths and stuff like that are going to be nothing on the cancers. They closed cancer services. Tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people are still walking around right now not knowing they've got cancer because they were not diagnosed. And I kept warning. I kept saying. And the people are going to go, this is fucking baffling. It's not baffling.
Well, the MSN are now picking up on it, which is only, 2 years too late. So if we move on to the next slide, throughout October has been an average of 1,564 extra deaths per week.
Right.
Now, let's put that in perspective to start with.
Okay.
That's only a 14% increase, right?
Yeah.
That's not a massive spike. It's not far away from normal, variation, right? Because we would probably give like 8 to 10% within the realms of normal variation.
Okay.
So it's probably not, it's not a massive spike, but it is an increase in England.
Yeah.
Not in Wales or Scotland. They're still running at no excess. Right?
Yeah.
So the question is, that's all cause mortality.
Yeah.
Right?
It's not
But
respiratory, by the way.
No, it's not respiratory, because when we look at respiratory, as we pointed out yesterday, it's well under average. Well under average. What's above average is everything else.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're absolutely right. Let's move on to our next slide from one Dr. Asim Malhotra.
Right. So this is the thing that disturbs me.
Okay.
Because this guy's not stupid.
No, he's not.
Right? But he's jumping on this massive spike bandwagon when the data doesn't suggest there is one. That's the problem.
And to be absolutely frank and absolutely clear, I have also observed the Euromomo, same as you have, and you're absolutely right. We may now be running in excess, but throughout the summer we weren't. Right,
No,
and that's to be expected. Once again, that is to be expected.
Yeah.
But we keep hearing from people like Mr. Malhotra and Mr. Bow, I'm going to name him, that all throughout summer we've had these massive spikes, and the data just doesn't correlate. Now, am I saying that we are not going to have a tirade of excess through the winter? I'm not saying that because I don't know. Right?
Yeah.
What I am saying is the data in itself does not speak to what they're saying.
The data is if you cherry pick the data, you can. Well, if you cherry pick any data, you can pretty much get what you want out of it.
There is literally a book called How to Lie with Statistics.
Yeah, exactly, and it was on Bill Gates' coffee table, I think. The problem is, if you cherry pick the data, there are regions of England and Wales that do have high deaths, but they're offset by other regions that don't. So on average, the data that we've presented to Euromomo over the last year is generally in line with expectation, right? So an increase now as we go into the winter respiratory virus season is to be expected, because deaths always increase at this time of the year.
Now, it has increased further than other years. We do have to acknowledge and look at that.
Yep.
And there are going to be severe mitigating factors. But then also people have to remember, now we're not saying that thing is not doing it, because there is definitely some correlation there.
Well, no. I mean, it's difficult to draw any conclusions on correlation. But what you can say from the data that we're presented with is that it's not respiratory viruses that are killing people, and it is, and the data indicates that the excess deaths are coming from a pool of diseases that we normally have, but they're increased.
Yeah, and there will be several factors behind those increases, especially the cardiac ones, right?
Well, yeah, and as you said, mistreated and undiagnosed, diseases will be prevalent as well. So there's a whole combination of circumstances that will be driving this spike. I hate to say it, but I remember saying, in fact it was about a year ago, I said there was going to be a spike in all-cause mortality. And it's taken longer than I thought. But it has happened, and it's starting to happen.
So let's move on to a tweet from Peter Sweden, who is still not re-verified on Twitter. He used to be verified, by the way.
Yeah, he did, but again, Peter's jumping on this bandwagon, and I think you've got to be very careful, because he's saying the word Norwegian doctors are sounding the alarm about a mysterious increase in patients and deaths, and yet their data that they're presenting to Euromomo is not showing that.
Now,
right? So Sweden's one of those...
There are some countries.
Yeah, but Sweden's one of those countries that's showing no excess deaths.
Yeah.
Sorry, not Sweden, Norway. Norway's one of those countries showing no excess deaths. So why is he saying this? Now, Euromomo is obviously a week behind, because you need to get the data and you need to correlate it and you need to put it up. But I don't think that he's had this information in the last couple of days.
I mean, we can only speak to the data that is presented. Yeah. And the data that is presented is the data that is presented, and we can't infer anything other than what we are inferring off of this data, right?
But now we jump to the other side of the coin,
right?
And someone who's gone completely the other way.
Yeah. Now this person here has not covered herself in glory over all of these last couple of years, has she?
No.
In fact, before we even look at what Anna said, I do want to address Anna Brees, because she genuinely believes herself to be the arbiter, the gatekeeper, the person in charge of what she calls alternative media. She thinks it needs to be done her way and no other way. She attacks other people all of the time, and now she's turning on her own audience in quite a large way. What has Anna said here, John?
Yeah, well, she said cynical people, and you know what? I include myself as something of a cynic.
Right.
Or at least a skeptic. So cynical people who are suspicious of everyone and everything, I don't see anything wrong with that, because what is wrong with questioning what you're told?
Yep.
To me, it seems a sensible approach.
Yep.
They call themselves truthers. I don't think I do. I don't call myself a truther. I think I'm data-driven. But I don't call myself a truther. And then she goes on to say, they're not. They're dark, twisted people who are a threat to our future. They're abuse without consequence. Now, what abuse is this that they're doing? Because in my experience, most of the people who call out governments, who call out big pharma, who call out things that they don't see as being right, aren't attacking individuals. They're attacking systems and problems and exposing flaws in current systems, MSN, and the data as it's presented. I don't see that as abuse.
Well, no, to be fair, right, because I like to, you know me, I like to stir the old pot and look at the other side of the coin. We have been victims ourselves of these people that I think she's trying to allude to in a really bad way. The people that just abuse you and call you names and say you're this, that, and the other.
I don't think she's talking about them. I think she's talking about the people who are on the side of the government narrative.
Okay.
So their abuse without consequence means debate will die, and people like me who care, or at least used to, will disappear. So how will debate die if one side is stopped from talking about it? Oh, that's why. Right, so debate will die if you get your way, Anna, because you want to stop people questioning things.
Yeah.
So debate, of course, will die, because then there will only be one single source of truth, won't there? A single point of contact.
Absolutely.
A single source of information.
Absolutely.
Is that not going to kill debate more than anything?
It is, yeah.
So your point, Anna, is moot.
I just want to adjust the chat quickly because I actually just had to remove a couple of messages from the chat because, and it's nothing against the people putting them in. It's that if you say certain things in our chat, YouTube will hold us liable and we will get struck for it. So it's just the way it is. So we have to moderate it to an extent. I apologize, but I don't want John's channel being taken down.
No, thank you.
So it's as simple as that. There's just certain things that YouTube still will not let you say. Now, if you were commenting on Rumble, which we are live on as well, absolutely fine. You can say what you want.
So yeah, okay. So then Anna goes on, right? Mm-hmm. To have a go at a UK member of Parliament. So this is an MP.
Yeah.
So she thinks he's become a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, this bothers me.
Right, so he's a representative of he's an elected representative of a group of people in the UK who've elected him to appear at Westminster on their behalf. Yeah. And she's having a go at what he's saying. So when did she become the arbiter of all things? You know?
Well, this is my issue with Anna Breeze is that remember when she was banned from places like YouTube and stuff like that. I flew the flag for her because I was actually supporting her at one point, and I flew the flag for her and I helped. It's the same with when Bernie Spofforth got banned from Twitter. I rallied thousands and thousands of people to get noticed, but when they attack me, these people, they do nothing in return.
No reciprocation.
No help in return. They're all part of one. They're all part of one big club, right? We're definitely not in it.
No, they're in the club of me. Right?
But we're not funded. They've all got money behind them, shall we say? Even Anna, she can afford to do what she does and not do anything else. We can't, right? We definitely can't. But it doesn't help when she's doing things like this.
No, it doesn't, and it doesn't help. It maybe doesn't help the MP that he's going on about excess deaths all over Europe, and yet there's the latest Euromomo chart of Europe, and all the grey is no excess death.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. This is what we are being given.
We'd expect that all that grey should probably turn to light blue or medium blue over the coming months until about February, and then it'll start to slacken off again. Right?
Now, if it goes mental, goes wild, goes dark blue, then there's definitely something to look into. But as it stands, this is week 41, 2022. This is the latest death data from Euromomo, and the vast majority of Europe is sitting at no excess.
Yeah.
So we can only tell you what the data is showing. We can't speak to anything else. And we do like to be as accurate as possible. Yeah, we're funny a lot of the time. We laugh, we have a joke, we take the piss out of things, but we try and at least give you accurate information. And it's right here for you to look at. Make of it what you will, is all we can say.
Anyway, speaking of telling the truth, is this man setting us up for a fall?
Yeah.
So, I think he's talking about the upcoming midterms.
Of course he is. He's talking about the upcoming midterm elections at this point, and his administration has just very much interfered, along with Google and YouTube, in the Brazilian elections as well. They are basically, I believe the head of the CIA went and warned people months ago that if Bolsonaro loses, you are not to question it, right?
Yep.
We've got the Googles, the YouTubes now directly censoring anybody who questions the outcome of the Brazilian election. You're not allowed to do it. This is quite terrifying, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and what's more terrifying is the potential 2024 candidate has basically just turned around and said voters are stupid.
Yeah, there she is, and she's our thumbnail. But then again, she has always called voters names, hasn't she? Remember the basket of deplorables? The basket of deplorables. You know?
Yeah, she's. I don't get her. I mean, for someone who wants to win friends and influence people, she doesn't do a very good job.
No, she definitely doesn't. Mrs. Clinton, basically, the best route to Mrs. Clinton winning anything is to shut up, stop speaking. Because she opens her mouth, she calls half the country deplorable. She opens her mouth, she says, when these midterms come along, if you don't vote for the Democrats, you're stupid. Stupid. What are they going to go? What? Shut up. It's how is this an election winning strategy? I really don't understand. I don't understand.
Well, it's only an election winning strategy if you've got an alternative strategy in the background that's going to ensure that you win the election.
So,
did I just say that? Oh my God!
And
I shouldn't have.
I mean, early voting, and I might eat these words, but early voting indicates that Miami-Dade County is going to flip red for the first time in a very, very long time, if not ever. Yeah. And if that trend holds, the Democrats are looking at a wipeout, I think, like never before seen.
Who was it that said it will be like the red wave when the doors of the elevator in The Shining opened?
Now, I'm not going to say Republican good, but Democrat definitely bad. They are.
Speaking of Democrats taking credit for things that they have nothing to actually do with.
They do this a lot. Yep.
So this is part, I think, of Elon Musk trying to start to crack down on proper fact checking, because these are reader added fact checks.
Yes.
And this is quite a good one as far as fact checks go. I really like it.
So the White House tweeted out here, seniors are getting the biggest increase in their Social Security checks in 10 years through President Biden's leadership. Then we have
just like to say, up until they said the word president, everything they said was true.
Readers added context they thought people might want to know. Seniors will receive a large Social Security benefit increase due to the annual cost of living adjustment, which is based on the inflation rate. President Nixon in 1972 signed into law automatic benefit adjustments tied to the Consumer Price Index, meaning that Joseph R. Biden and the Democrats had absolutely fuck all to do with this.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah.
That's a fact check I could get behind.
Yeah. And so what you're actually seeing is through President Nixon, I am not a crook, through his leadership, you are getting, as a senior, your biggest Social Security hike.
And yet, President Nixon actually got way better polls than Kennedy did on the radio.
Well, I imagine
on the TV it was the reverse.
I imagine he also got way better polls in everything than Biden gets. I mean, he is through the floor. He is destroyed. He likes to brag that the economy's in a good state, and it's like, mate, everything is not 10 times, but everything is vastly more expensive now than it was before you took office, and your economy's in a good state?
Yeah.
Come on. Let's move on to GB News, shall we now?
This young lady, Ashley James here, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand what she's saying. Because she said she was pressured into having a treatment because of anti-treatment narrative. How does that work? How does that pressure you into getting something when people are saying don't get it?
I don't know.
I don't know. I think it's I actually think this is just a look at me, I want to be on TV, I want to be the centre of attention.
I think you could be right. I think you could be right. The thing is, you can see there from the little chyron at the bottom, they're talking about the pandemic amnesty at this point, which is what obviously I was talking about at the head of the show. She's basically, from what I can garner from here, She's saying that she didn't want to get it, but she was pressured. Well, once again, I will say to people, and I've said this throughout, and I'll say this over and over and over again, you are an individual. You have your own mind. You have the ability to make your own decisions. Even when talking to or listening to things that we might be saying. You don't have to take anything we say or anything we opine on board. We're not going to demand you think as we do. We're just going to tell you what we think, what we feel, and we're going to try and entertain you a bit along the way. People like this piss me off. Yeah, you've been pressured, have you? Okay, well, can you not make your own decisions? Can you? Oh, someone, it's like the Just Stop Oil lot, isn't it? I don't know if are they on the list?
They're not on the list, but if we move on to the next one, it's someone else who is on the list who's desperately trying to stay relevant.
Yeah. We are still here and we are not planning on going anywhere. Young people...
How dare you!
Young people all over the world are stepping up, showing that our leaders messed with the wrong generation. How dare you!
How dare you!
Yeah, so Greta's desperately trying to stay relevant, and then she's gone further, and she's now said, and the next slide explains it, that it's not really about climate change or just climate change.
She's a fucking communist.
It's about tearing down everything. Now, you know what? There are certain aspects of what she's saying that I agree with. So I think it is time to overthrow the West's oppressive system. You know, because our government system is oppressive, and it's oppressing us at this very moment in time.
Yes, that's true.
That's true.
But I think Greta doesn't really know what she's talking about, to be fair. I think she's a really confused young lady, probably more confused after our episode with Jeremy Vine.
I'd say I look at Greta Thunberg as a victim. I look at her as a victim.
Yeah. There's no doubt she's been groomed from, and I use the word groomed deliberately.
Yeah,
she's been groomed from a very young age to be a mouthpiece for the climate side of things, for the WEF. You know, for the attempt to destroy Western capitalist system.
She has absolutely no education in climate science. She has absolutely no knowledge of science or anything like that. She's literally a child who did a little protest because her rich parents put her out there as that's what happened, and then she was used. She had handlers. Yeah. She was given speeches. She barely writ any of her own words. She doesn't know what she's talking about. And now she's like this deity, like this figurehead for the cults to battle around. And before we do move on, I do want to talk about Just Stop Oil, because they've put out a couple of very interesting tweets. And I won't put them on screen because we don't have them. But first of all, they basically said, we've paused our disruption. But we will return to it on Friday. We don't want to return to it. We don't want to do this to you. But you're making us do it. You're making us do it, government. You are forcing our hands. It's like an abusive partner, isn't it? You know,
yeah.
Oh, I don't want to do this to you, dear. You're making me do it. That's basically what they're doing. It's absolutely ridiculous. And you know what? There are people that support this insane cult. And then to go one step further, they're doing something this coming Saturday, November the 5th, in central London called the People's Assembly. This is Just Stop Oil. They're putting on coaches from all over the country for people to pay for and come down on.
Right. Moving on. So, the biggest troll on the planet at the moment, Elon Musk.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand how people can be so dense. And the next slide will show you who is probably one of the densest ever. But how can people be so dense that they think, and what gets me is they think you have to pay
No, yeah,
a month.
this is it. This is it. Right,
no,
well,
no, you don't.
you will get to keep your verified checkmark for 3 months for free, from what I understand.
Yeah, but even regardless of that, you don't have to pay to use Twitter.
No, you don't.
Because at the moment, your free verified checkmark, you actually don't get that many benefits.
No, you get like an extra area where you can look at what all the other verified checkmark people are saying, and that's pretty much it. And you might get your tweets promoted and boosted a bit more.
Yeah. But apart from that, you don't get much. So so if you don't want to pay it, don't pay it. Or leave.
Yeah.
And I'm reaching out to Stephen King here. Would you just please leave right now? Because you are such a whining git. And I can understand why your books take so long to get to the point.
Well,
because you yourself seem to take that long to get to the point, because you're still bleating on about leaving Twitter something like 2 years after Trump got in.
Well, I want to reach out to Stephen King and ask, could you just write an ending? Please.
I don't think
Stephen, could you just write an ending?
He's not capable of writing an ending.
No, he's not. He's not capable. I mean, when his books get turned into movies, you got better screenwriters that come along and, they get a bit creative with it, and then maybe an ending occurs. But Stephen, please write an ending. But let's move on, staying within the vein, to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the Champagne Socialist Democrat member of Congress from New York, who now has an infinity pool. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So the question is, again, why does she think that free speech needs for you to pay $8 a month? Because it doesn't.
I listen.
These people they're conflating the issue completely here.
Is she smart? Is she dumb? Is she being dumb, or is she being purposely dumb?
I actually think that she's as thick as a box of rocks.
Do you know what? When it comes to Ocasio-Cortez, I absolutely agree with you. Remember when people were criticising her ridiculous policies? She goes, "That's because they all just want to date me." That's because... No. It's because your ridiculous policies are absolutely ridiculous, AOC.
Yeah.
That's
Speaking of ridiculous people.
Femi! The resident race baiter himself.
Well, hold on, Femi. I mean, if you want to read this out, Ben.
You want me to read this out?
Yeah, go on, read this out.
So this tweet from Femi reads, the same people screaming that Middle Eastern migrants aren't real asylum seekers because they crossed many safe EU countries to get here were perfectly happy for 200,000 Ukrainians to cross Europe and be picked up from safe France. Wanna play spot the difference?
No, we weren't. We never said that. I never said that. I have just as much problem with Ukrainians coming here on holiday and then going back on holiday to their war-torn country because it's so safe. They can still take holidays where they came from as refugees. These aren't refugees. These are economic migrants as well. And they're ripping the piss out of you. And they're ripping the piss out of us.
I have nothing to add. I have nothing to add to that. Shall we move on to the world of engineering?
Yes. Now this is what's wrong, and I'm going to offend some people here, right? But this is
nothing new there, then.
Yeah, this is what's wrong with engineers and engineering, right? Because look at that, okay? It's about levers and fulcrums and weight distribution, and it says, what weight does the blue block have to be to balance the lever? Now, in the real world, you or I would slide the blue block up and down until it balanced.
Yeah.
And we really wouldn't need to bother about what weight the blue block is.
Mm-hmm.
But what an engineer's going to do, he's going to sit there and he's going to start working it out with pencil and paper. And then go and find the correct amount of weight to put it in exactly the right position to balance the blocks.
Okay.
Which is going to take him about, 10 times the amount of time it's going to take us to balance it. And this is why engineers slow the world down.
Okay. Let's move on to Lidl.
Your public service announcement brought to you today by Chasing Dissent.
Spotted the little girl with her bear. It's some sort of little bear. Tap the heart to be the first to see our Christmas ad.
What hell is this? It's only but this was actually out yesterday, the 2nd of November. In fact, actually, it was published on the 1st of November. A Christmas ad out already.
To be fair, there are Christmas aisles in every supermarket around here now. Big time, right? But there have been since before Halloween in many of them. But secondly, on our Discord server, which Adam, if you're there, please put the link in the chat. I've already started advertising our Christmas, haven't I? And I think it might be a good time to. I think it might be a good time to announce the return of Sponsor My Balls. That's right. It is the return of Sponsor Ben's Balls. A Christmas tree will appear at some point very, very soon. And if you would like to have a bauble placed upon that Christmas tree with your name and a personalised message, then drop a donation of £10 to paypal.me/wheeliebricks, and that ball will appear on the tree for the entirety of the Christmas season, and we really appreciate it. We had some great fun with it over the last year and two. So the return of Sponsor Ben's Balls, it's back.
I bet your balls aren't as big as those ones that went down Tottenham Court Road the other day.
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ.
That was funny.
Oh, it was so funny.
It was like they were recreating a scene from the Prisoner.
I am not a number. I am a free man.
Yeah, and well, that's us. That's us ripped through the show today.
And I think a wonderful, 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 fiery show it has been. I really, really appreciate everybody being here. And if you just want to help us out in general to help us keep the lights on, then please consider becoming a supporter at patreon.com/Chasing Dissent or on Ko-fi, ko-fi.com/Chasing Dissent. And if you are a member of our Discord server, Adam is sorting out a members only section within the Discord server for people who are subscribed on Patreon and Ko-fi. That's where the after party shall reside from now on. We're going to be working out what we do with the after party going forwards, but tonight, if you are so inclined and bored, at about 9 PM, you can go over to our second channel, 100, that's the number 100, Acre Swamp, where you will see Ben, John, and Adam, also known as the world's worst gamers, take on some live battles in the game Fortnite. Come and have a laugh with us. We would really, really appreciate it. John?
We just need cash.
I know a lot of people want to send blankets or water. Just send your cash.
And with that, I'd like to thank you one and all for attending this episode 155. It was indeed one episode, but it was also one episode of 155 of Chasing Dissent Live, brought to you by me, John, and by him, Ben. And we wish you a good and prosperous day. Good day to you, sir. And or.
That's all we've got time for this evening, so it's good night from me.
And it's good night from him. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Stop playing with my bust!
Good night, everybody.
Good night, children. Good night, Daddy.
You're a what?
A pianist!
Mwah! Good night, everybody.
You have been a delightful audience to talk. Good night. Thank you.
Oh, my bottom hurts. Good night, everybody.
Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Tim Bob.
Oh, I did love that hamster so. I took it into bed with me every night, you know.
Good night, everybody.
I think, ladies and gentlemen, I think I have to go now. I've been standing here for a very long time. think the end of the show must have come and gone.
There you go. That's our solar system.
You forgot Uranus.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you for listening. You've been very nice to work to.
Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.